Good evening, this is Federico Bentley from Ayondo Markets, just going to give you here your webinar for this evening. Do let me know if everyone can hear me. If you just literally reply, type in saying yes, or you can hear me, then that should clarify everything for me. Perfect, perfect. Okay, well, glad that everyone can hear me now. We're just going to run through the basics really of how to open up an account, to how to amend your top traders, how to choose them, how to scrutinize their performance, go over the whole sort of statistics, see what the numbers mean, and pretty much run through everything nice and slowly so it's all understandable for everyone. So first, I guess we can start off by simply how to open up an account. So if you logged on to our main website, you can see here, you can see select your experts now, and then you just scroll down a little bit, you can see your social trading. So this is the one for the social website, and on the right you've got spread betting, CFD trading. So make sure we stick on with social trading. So if we click simply on open account, that will just direct you to the simple application. So all you have to do is fill in your name, your username, your desired username, your email, and then you have to confirm it twice. And then once you've put that in, put in your country, so if it's United Kingdom, Germany, wherever it is, put it in, and then just accept the terms and conditions. You can read them by just clicking on the data sharing agreement, nice and simple, and then click continue. It's a very simple process, and then you go from there. Obviously, if there's any issues there, you can always call in the Ayondo support team, and we'll be able to help. But apart from that, it's a nice and simple process. Perfect. And now looking onto the social side, there's two ways of logging in really. You got the first way of just clicking on social trading. So if you click there, then it'll direct you. Secondly, you can always log in by, first of all, you have to hover over login first and then click on social trading. Sometimes it can be a problem when you just click on login, and what will happen, you'll actually log into the Trade Hub demo. So if you just make sure you hover over it and then click on social trading, then it'll direct you there. So let's just go, we'll take this path first. Click on social trading, and it'll open up a new page, and then here it will ask you for your login details. So you can do it that way, and that will be a more direct route to log into your live account. But if you actually click on the social trading here you still have options to analyze these top traders. Doesn't actually mean entitle you to having a live account. You can actually still go through the top traders, their performance, and that type of criteria. So it's nice and simple. So if we start looking at start trading career, this is more for the top traders, but I guess first of all we can see what these top traders, what they actually mean, and how they become sort of the best top traders, the most popular top traders, and so forth. So if you can see here, it gives them their career. So with all these top traders that you guys will be following, they all have to start at street trader. You can see here, here's all the criteria that they have to reach. So there are certain risk parameters that we have put in place, obviously, to look after you. So the main one to look at really is that your maximum drawdown cannot be larger than 25%. So that will go throughout to institutional level. So you can see that these 5 hoops, first of all, street trader, advanced, professional, risk adjusted, institutional. So you can see that they get remunerated on a career level basis. So $1 times every lot for the street trader, and for institutional level, that will be $5. The most important thing to know about these top traders is that if, for example, you have one top trader and he goes from street trader to, let's say, professional, and he's looking to elevate to risk adjusted, but suddenly he exceeds his maximum drawdown at 25%, that means he will suddenly be demoted to street trader and he'll never be able to elevate to institutional. So there is, risk parameters there just to mitigate any danger of him potentially, blowing up an account or just being too risk averse for certain, followers. So that's the main thing there. So that's more for the top traders, but it's always nice to know how they progress and what criteria they actually need to meet. So that's probably the main thing. And then find top traders. This is probably where you guys will be looking at the most. Here's where you're able to look at our extensive list of top traders. You're actually able to pick them from institutional level, from street trader level. You have all, you have full choice at the end of the day. So we start off by looking at your career level. Here you can see that we've chosen 3 flags. 3 flags, that means that you're looking at the 3rd level. If you had 5 flags, for example, you'd have the full levels, which would be institutional level. So you can, for example, if you're looking at only following certain top traders with institutional level, you just highlight all these flags in. At the top right, here you've got most popular traders and then show all real money traders. So if we click on show all real money traders, that will direct you to the list of all our real money traders. So you can see here, for example, you've got King. He has both a star and an R, the letter R. So that means that he's a real money trader. So what this means is that he's trading with at least £1,000 of his own money. So as soon as you deposit £1,000 in your real money trader, you'll get that stamp. So obviously for you guys, it enthralls a little bit more trust, because you know that they are risking their own capital. So you can see that all of these guys are real money traders. You will have some other traders that aren't actually real money traders. That means that they could be trading with less, or they could be demo traders almost. So you do have that. The star next to it, that just means popular traders, that they are one of our most popular traders. We have a list of our top 10, and that just means how many followers they have. So if you're looking for the most popular ones, the most famous ones almost, you'll look at these, and typically the star and the real money trader stamp will go hand in hand. So this is our real money, our list of real money traders. Pretty extensive list. You can see you can go further. And then if we click on most popular traders, you can see that Mr. Dax, he's number 1. So he's number 1 purely because he has the most followers. So we can see all his career level. So you can tell he's an institutional level trader, which takes over 1 year. So obviously his maximum drawdown has never exceeded 25%, which is nice to have. You can see his P&L here, which is pretty much his performance since registration. So that means since he's registered with us, that's how much he's returned. His volatility, followers, trades, how many does on a monthly basis, and you can actually start following him from here. But to find a more conclusive and a more elaborate sort of in-depth scenario, if you click on his profile, here it will just direct you to his actual profile. So you can see, start off by at the top, he's got the star, so he's almost, he's a popular trader. The R, so he's a real money trader. So that's 2 boxes ticked. He's been a member since 2014, so he's been trading with us for longer than a year. Trading experience is over 10 years. I mean, that's almost irrelevant because his performance is only registered since last September. So you can see that here you have his, his trading strategy. You can see it all says there, that's what he's looking at doing. That's how he applies it. And at the top, you can see the follower. So he's got almost 3,000 followers. So he is our most popular trader. So obviously the more followers they have, the more they're remunerated. So for him, this is a nice profile to have. So if you look at performance as registration, so that simply means his P&L pretty much. So that's his profit and loss. So let's say he started with 100 euros. This is all hypothetical, just to illustrate the example. If he started with 100 euros when he first started with us back in September 2014, and to now, that means he would have been, right now, he would be up to 187 euros and 68 cents. So that purely means what it is. So it's nice and simple. His maximum drawdown, you can see, that's his maximum cumulative loss, and you can tell. This is all done in percentage, of course. This is all is unrealized. So this is done in unrealized profit or loss in this case. So obviously, if he reached 25% maximum drawdown, then he would be demoted down to street trader, and that's how it goes. Obviously, for you guys, it's all about the risk mitigation. Next, you can see his volatility. So if you click there, you can see it's very low, 6.87%, and you can see it's just purely the fluctuation of the trader's return. So the higher it is, then the higher the reward would be magnified, and also the risk would be magnified. So you do have that. If you want a sort of a more in-depth sort of answer, you can click on that, and it gives you the actual mathematical equation behind that. So you can see it's just the standard deviation of the spread measured values. So you do have that. That's just to figure out a little bit more, but in simple terms, it's all said there. Then you got the number of trades. I mean, you don't really have to click on that because you can understand that that's how many trades he's placed since he started. So you can see right there the figure's 1,202. So that figures out almost to, I believe it was just over 90 trades a month. So that's, almost four trades a day if you're looking at it on an average basis. And then you got win percentage of trades. So over 50% of his trades are winning trades. So obviously that's quite a good and attractive edge that he has on other top traders. And he has been with us for a very long time. So it's quite nice to have. And then you have the win months. That's purely, the percentage of winning months that he has. So over 16 months, I believe, you can see how often he's returning you a winning month, which is quite nice to have. So if you're looking at a long-term basis, it's always good to see that it's higher than 50%. And then here you can see that's his graph. That's just showing the slow progression that he's performed. So you can see that's where he started back in September in 2014. You can see how it slowly progressed. So you can see with his graph, this is very sustainable. This is probably what a lot of you guys will be looking for, the sustainable returns. Slow and steady, which is just what you need. And you can see that it's comparing it to the DAX. So this is the Germany 30 rolling. So this is comparing it to how both, well, trader and product has been performing. So you can see it's outperformed the DAX over a year period, and the DAX has, performed massively and been very volatile, but you can see his returns have been nice and sustainable. You can see here, this is just since registration. So you can always change that to over a 1 year period, and you'll see that come up. You can do it to 3 months, and then you can actually do it to the day. So you can see he's had a bit of a slow start to October. I believe last month he returned over 11%. This month it's been slightly slower, but then it's nice to have these choices of doing it over 7 days, 1 month, 3 months, etc. So you do have that. Now if we scroll down, you'll see his performance in percentage. So we were mentioning that his performance of winning months was over 70%, and 71.43% to be precise. So here you can see that when he started back in September, he returned almost 5%, October almost 5% again. Then he picked up in November, and then December he had a bit of a fall of nearly 5%. So in those 4 months, he returned 12.85%. So you can see YTD is year to date. And then you can see in 2015 he had a pretty explosive start, returning over 20%. So hopefully you can replicate that again this winter. So you can see here how he's slowly progressed. So it's nice to see on a monthly basis what he's returning. So if you joined this month with 100,000 euros, 100,000 pounds, then you'd be up 111. So it's just nice to see it in black and white. So that's pretty much what you have there. Now here you've got main thing. We can see the distribution of the monthly performance. This is done. You can see it on each one. Month 1, then you got month 2, and then it just hovers over. So you can see in the last 9 months, it's returned over 4%. So this isn't as relevant, I would say, to the asset allocation, because the asset allocation is what he's trading, and these are the main products that he's trading, for example. So you can see that the Germany 30 rolling, that's almost equating to 70% of his exposure. So that is quite a massive exposure to the DAX, which is quite nice to see, because you can actually, on the pie chart, on that, you can actually click on that. So if you hover over a particular product, if it's either gold, Germany mid cap, or even the DAX, you click on that, that will direct you to all the trades that he's ever placed with us on the DAX. So what this means is you can see each particular or each singular trade. You can see the profit and loss. You can see the exit price. You can see all the information that you need to know. So if we just illustrate the top one, I'll give you the trade number because that will relate back to your account. And then you've got the date and time. And then here, the LNS, so that's long and short. So an arrow going down, that means that he's short on this product, so he's selling it. And a blue arrow going up means he's long and hoping that the price goes up, so he's buying it. So underlying, obviously because we've clicked on Germany 30 rolling, it will be all of the DAX. You'll have his unit size, so this is his stake size. And then SL, which is simply his stop loss. So within here, you can simply see, where his risk parameter was. You got the price, so what he entered at. And the signal is what's been hit. So if it says stop loss, then his stop loss has been hit. If it's exit, that means he's closed out the position himself. So he's seen that, for example, on this top one, that he was up 31 euros 90. So he wanted to close out that position and crystallize that profit. So that signal exit just means he clearly closed out the position himself. Secondly, we have RPT. This is probably the most important thing that you guys will be looking at for your accounts, because this is the most relevant thing for you. RPT stands for risk per trade. So you can see a lot of these risk per trade is well below 1%. So this is the risk per trade on his overall account. So let's say his risk per trade was 1%, and you had an £100 account. If he's risking 1%, you'd also be risking 1% if you're following him one-to-one. So then you would be risking £1 on this particular trade. Obviously, we'll talk about how you can potentially maximize that effective risk factor. And if he's following it 1 times, you could be following it more. We'll talk about that later. But the risk per trade, if you're following him one-to-one, that will always be the same in yours. So risk per trade is probably one of the main things that you'll be looking at for your account. That's the most relevant thing. Obviously, the profit and loss here, the P&L, this is obviously just as relevant. But it's nice to know how much, well, what risk aversity he has, because this is what we'll be translating onto your account. Exit price, of course, you can see where what point he got out. So that's what it is. If you want to see all the trades, you just keep going down. As it says here, scroll down to extend. So it's a pretty extensive list. You just keep on going down. Obviously, because he's been trading with us for a long time, you don't want to go too far down because it will keep on going. But obviously, time is of an essence, so you can keep going down. You can almost figure out sort of a strategy. You can see his last 6 months P&L, and it's entirely up to you. It's just a nice option to have. So that's one thing to have. Obviously, with what we've just gone through, this will be applicable to each of the top traders. Obviously, it'll be different asset allocation, different performance. But what we ran through, that's exactly the same for each top trader, in the manner that you can scrutinize them in this manner, in this way, and see how in depth their trades are. So if we go back to his account, that's just a general overview of his account. What he doesn't have, which we will show you on a different one, is his currently open trades. So what we can go here, his transaction history, very similar to what we just went over, but this is for his overall account. So these are all the last trades, recent trades as well, that he's traded on. So if we just open that up, we'll be able to see the most recent trades and what the outcome was. So for example, gold, this is his most recent trade. He was short on gold, as you can see because of the arrow. 22 units, stop losses here, closed out the position himself, and again, here's a risk per trade. You can see a lot of them are well below 1%. You got his P&L there, so it's pretty much the same as what we went through before, but it's just his most recent closeout trades. What we'll do now, we'll just go through currently open trades, so you're able to see what they're actually currently exposed to. So if we go on maybe Simply Trader, let's see if he's currently trading. So you can tell this is exactly the same layout. You've got asset allocation. With this guy, a little bit more one-dimensional. It's pretty much just the DAX. Again, he's been trading similar time, just a month shy of Mr. DAX's performance. But you can see here, it's all the same as before, and you can tell, he's one of our most popular traders and a real money trader. So that's what you do have. So if we go on, you could click follow here. This is one way of following these top traders. You could simply click on follow, and here it will direct you to start following him, but a more conclusive way and a more understandable way to follow these guys. If you clicked on my portfolio and then clicked on portfolio configurator. So within here, this is where you can start following these guys in a better manner almost. What you can do is you can look at all, our extensive list of top traders. Here you can put the name in, you can keep searching. It's completely up to who you're choosing, obviously. But let's just stick with Mr. DAX because we just illustrated his performance and we're more familiar with him. So all you have to do in order to follow Mr. DAX, drag him on here, and there you go. And then he's been added to your portfolio. As you can see, again here, it's giving you a 1 year sort of figure of what he would have returned if you chose him over a year period. And at the bottom, depending on what account you have, you can either execute on live account or execute on demo account. So that's quite nice and simple to have. So if we just go over the risk factor that I was mentioning before, that you could choose, when we spoke about the risk per trade, and how you could potentially maximize that on his overall account and on an individual basis. So in order to do that, all we have to do is click on this little spanner that we have here on the top left, click on that, and then this comes up with your effective risk factor. So you can see right now that his effective risk factor is set to default as 1 times. So that means that you're mirroring each of his moves. So you'll be emulating any of his trades. So if he's trading, if he's got 5 open trades and he's risking all of them at 1% risk per trade, then you'll be copying that. So once you have one top trader, you're literally copying what they do. So you're mirroring each of their moves. So following them 1-to-1. So it's quite nice and simple to have. So you can see effective risk factor at the bottom here is 1 times. What we'll do now is if you add 2, we'll just add trust fund TK as well. Now, if you click on the spanner, you'll see his effective risk factor has gone, still says 1 here, but it's gone down to 0.50. That's simply because you're following 2. So that means that you've diversified the risk. So the more top traders that you follow, then the risk will be diversed. So you can see, obviously, if you're following 2, it's almost done 50-50, purely depending on what their risk per trade is on their trades. So if you're following 2, then it'll be split half on each. If you follow 3, then you'll see that the risk per trade, we won't add him, we'll add Simply Trader, nice and simple. So if we add here, when we click on this, you can see the effective risk factor now is 0.33%. So that means that now you're risking 1/3 on each one. And obviously if you're following 4, then it'll be 1/4 in each one. And if you're following 5, then it'll be 1/5 for each one. So it's simply how it works. The more top traders you have, the more risk is diversified. So that's nice and simple. Obviously, you'll always know what your effective risk factor is if you just look at it here. So it's quite nice to have. If, for example, you wanted to follow 3 of these guys and you wanted to follow them all 1-to-1, so as I mentioned before, mirroring each of their moves, so literally emulating everything they do, all you have to do is when you click on the effective risk factor, if you maximize it to 3, you'll see that now your effective risk factor is 1. So that means that you're copying him 1-to-1. Just because you've maximized it to 3 doesn't mean that you'll be times 3 on his trades. It will mean, because you've got 3 in your portfolio, that you will be literally mirroring each move. So you can see for Mr. Dax, you're following him 1-to-1. For these other guys, just because you've maximized it for him 3 times doesn't mean you've maximized it for Trust Fund TK 3 times. So you'll actually have to do this individually. So you can see here, it's still 1/3 of effective risk factor here. So again, if you want to maximize it to 3 times, you can see the effective risk factor is 1 times now. So you're following Mr. Dax and Trust Fund TK 1-to-1. So if their risk per trade is 1%, yours is 1%. For Simply Trader, let's just do that again. Maximize it to 3, so now we're following each of these guys 1-to-1. So whatever the risk per trade is, that will be replicated on our account. With the risk per trade, with these top traders, the maximum they can risk on a per trade basis is always 10 times. So that's the maximum they could ever risk. Obviously, we saw Mr. Dax, so most of his trades were well below 1%, but the maximum they could potentially risk is 10%. So you've got obviously a few top traders who are slightly more risk averse, and they might be risking 10%. They might be risking between 10 and 1%. So it's completely up to them. But the maximum, just for you guys to know, is 10%. So that's what you have. And when we're clicking this effective risk factor, this is obviously for his overall account. So this is not acting individually. This is for his overall account. So if he's got 10 different trades at one time, and they're all different products, and you've got it at 1 times, then you'll be following it at 1 times. What this simply means, what we'll do, we'll cancel this guy. So now we've just got 1. So we'll just keep it nice and simple. What this means now, if we go over, there we go. So if we go over his effective risk factor, what this, to make it another illustrative point, which will be nice and simple. Let's say you're following Mr. Dax 1-to-1, so you've only got 1 top trader in your account. If in October he returns you 1% and you're following him 1-to-1, you'll be returning 1% as well. But if he suddenly maximizes effective risk factor to 5 times, let's say, and you had that over October, and Mr. Dax returned you 1%, if you had maximized it to 5 times, then you would have returned 5%. So that's how it works. Obviously, if you maximize it to even 10 times, and Mr. DAX has returned 1% in October, then you would have returned 10% as you maximize it to 10 times. Obviously, it works on the flip side. If he's lost 1% and you've got it 10 times, then you would have lost 10%. So that's simply how it works. So it's quite nice to have there. And then you have set individual amounts. So this is obviously done on an individual basis. So if we look at all the trades, all the products that he's traded, you can see 5-year US Treasury, you've got Alliance, Apple, Bayer, BMW. You've got a pretty long list of products that he's traded. So here, again, this works exactly the same concept as the effective risk factor. You can always maximize it, minimize it. The way it works in minimizing, let's say, for example, we see Apple here. Let's say we don't like the way he trades Apple. You've looked at his, you've scrutinized the performance on Apple. You don't think he's doing too well. His P&L is very low. Or maybe you're holding Apple with a broker, or you just don't want to have any exposure to Apple because whatever the reason is. What you can do, you can put that down to 0, so deminimize it down to 0. So whenever he's got exposure to Apple, you'll have 0 exposure. So at the end of the day, you're sort of fully protecting yourself, and you're just having more control over the account, so you're choosing what you trade. So that's simply how it works. On the flip side, if you like the way he trades Apple, you can maximize it to 10 times. So if he's returned 1% on a trade on Apple and you've maximized it to 10 times, then you would have returned 10%. So it's nice and simple. That's simply how it works. So that's what you do have there. So what we can do, I'm going to log in now onto my live account because that was just the demo, and you can see how we can go my live account and how those trades are backtracked. So here you can see that I have 5 followers. 5 top traders that I'm following, sorry. So you can see you've got Mr. DAX, FC Invest, Trust Fund TK, King, the Supra. Below, you'll see 6 lines here, and these are all the lines. If it's over a year period, you'll see how they've been performing. So this is Nasupra. So if I've been following him for a year, this is what he would have returned. You click on a different color and you'll see what they're all returning. So you can play around with it 3 month to 6 month. There you always have the choice to move it around. But once we've followed these guys, so let's say we started following Mr. DAX, as I mentioned before. If you want to see those trades come through, all you have to do is click on My Portfolio and then click on My Live Account. So once you click on that, then here is where you see all these trades come through. So you're actually able to monitor them. You can see how they're performing. You can see they're long or short. You can see their unit size, which is obviously reflecting on your account, and you can see the price, the profit that you're currently running, and here is where you can actually close out the position. So a few of these trades are in profit. If you wanted to crystallize a profit or even crystallize a loss, you can always simply close out the position, and there you go, and it will close out your position. So nice and simple. So here it gives you at the end of the day full control. I'm sure these guys have their target price, but if you're looking to crystallize a profit, then it's at the end of the day it's your choice. Secondly, you have the trader name. So here you can see what top trader is doing what. So you can see most of towards the bottom. You've got HPN Stefan Reese, so you can see what he's trading in comparison to Mr. DAX, for example, which is right now is mostly gold and the DAX. And HPN Stefan Reese is slightly more diversified, and he's trading a bit of everything. So that's what you do have there. So it's quite nice to see what everyone's doing. And obviously at the top, you have all these top traders that you have. Another interesting thing that you will have here will always be your current balance, and here's your additional current unrealized P&L. So here it's pretty much your account value, which means that it will always counter in your profit and loss. So that's what it means by unrealized P&L. That will always be profit and loss. So even your account balance is 56 euros and 21 cents. It's that minus this pretty much. So if this was up 50 euros, for example, your current balance would be, if it's crystallized, it will be 106 euros and 21 cents. But this bit is always unrealized. Next, you have your loss protection, which almost acts as a stop loss for your overall account. So let's say, here's your trigger equity. Let's say you start, with 100,000. If you wanted to put your trigger equity or your your stop loss, let's say for your overall account, at 80,000. What that means is if for whatever reason your account ever reached down to 80,000, so these top traders do an awful job and your account reaches that threshold of 80,000, what it would do, it would close out all those positions, so crystallize all the positions that you currently have so that your balance will be at 80,000 euros roughly. So this is acting as another risk parameter for you guys. So it's quite nice to have it there. Obviously, it has to be at least 5% of your equity. So the closer it is to your equity, so my example of if you put in 100,000, you can put it at 95,000. Obviously, that's acting as a very tight stop loss, same type of concept. So you can always put it wherever you want. Here, you can obviously always amend it. So if you start with 100,000 and you put it 80,000, that's absolutely fine. But maybe if you go from 100,000 euros to, let's say, 150 over 6 months, then you can always move up your trigger equity. So you can put it from your original 80,000, you can move it up to maybe 130,000 if you're up 150,000, right? So you can always play with that. You can always amend it. The choice is absolutely yours. It's just nice to have that additional risk parameter. So that's pretty much what you have. Once you put in your equity, then simply click save, and then it will be done. Now, stop execution now. So this, if you're following Five Guys, what this means is all your open positions will be closed, and this will be all across the board. So it'll be all across the 5 traders that you're currently following. Close out all the positions, and you're pretty much deactivating all the executions. So you'll still be following them, but you'll be closing out all the positions. So if you click yes, then it will crystallize all the profit and loss. So if you're running a few losses and you want to close it out, you can do it this way. Just saves you the time to do it individually, but the choice is yours at the end of the day. And that's pretty much it for when you go in live account. So we go back to portfolio configurator. So you can see that we're still following Five here. This is where you can obviously type in who or what you're looking for. So for example, number of followers. If you're looking for maybe someone who's got very low volatility, you can always click it there. Or markets, you can always click how long he's been trading. So if you're looking for traders who've only been trading with us for a year, you click it for 1 year. And here you can actually click on whatever it is, number of followers. So you can really symbolize it to your own sort of pattern and trading strategy. If you like someone who's very popular because you think that's what you need and that's what's going to get you the most profit, you can obviously choose number of followers. You can choose a name, the volatility, maximum drawdown, so you can choose your risk aversity really. If you're just looking about profit, clicking profit, make sure he's been trading for us over a year. Make sure it's only a real money trader so that he is trading with at least £1,000 of his own money, and then voila, there it is. Then you get all these list of top traders, and obviously if you don't know who they are, you can analyze them by just simply by dragging them on. Obviously you can't drag on a 6-1 because the maximum top traders that you can have is 5. But if you want to analyze them, you don't have to go back to find top traders. You can literally click on their profile and it will direct you back to his account. So that's nice and simple. So there you have it. So that's quite nice and simple. Another way, this is more for sort of admin, I guess. If you click on your at the top, this will be your username. Here you can change your password. So as soon as let's say you start an application, you'll be sent an email with your username and password. If you want to change your password because you want something familiar, or you just want to change your password because everyone does, if you click on that, change your password. So all you have to do is type in your old password, then type in your new password twice just to confirm it, and then change, and then that should be done. So it's nice and simple. So that's pretty much it on the social side. I'm pretty sure I've run through everything on the live account. Obviously the demo account will be the same concept. You'll still be able to see all the information that's relevant really. So you do have that. Are there any questions from you guys? I think I've covered everything, but is there any particular sort of individual questions that you guys want to ask, or anything at all? If you guys have any questions, just type it in and I'll be able to see it so I can answer any questions. Can't see anyone asking any questions. So if that's covered everything, that's absolutely fine. That makes me happy. But if there are any questions, just type it in and then I'll be able to see what it is and then I'll be able to try and navigate that. Are we regulated? Yes, we are regulated by the FCA. So fully regulated by the FCA. I mean, we are a German company. We have offices based in Frankfurt, in London, well, when I say Germany, I say Stuttgart. We have offices in Singapore, Zug, and Switzerland, obviously. So yeah, we are fully regulated by the FCA. If you wanted more questions on sort of the FCA regulation, we can, if you send us your email, we can send you sort of a link on that and sort of client money, I guess that's the main thing that you're looking at. Let's answer one. So if I follow 3 traders and set the setting on 3 times, does it mean I buy 3 times? For that, whoever asked that question, not at all. So if you're following 3 traders and the setting's on at 3 times, that will be 1-to-1, because obviously the more top traders that you follow, then the risk diversified. So if you're following 2 top traders, all you'd have to do is put the setting at 2 times, so then you're following him 1-to-1. So whatever they're risking, you'll be risking as well. So if they're risking 1%, you'll be risking 1%. If they're risking 2%, they'll be risking 2%. If, however, you're following 1 top trader and you put the setting on at 3 times, then you will be buying 3 times the amount they have. So if they're making 3 times, you'll be making 3 times. If they're losing 3 times, then they'll be losing 3 times. Next question, why is your demo only 3 weeks? Well, our demo is 3 weeks purely because we think 3 weeks is enough time to familiarize yourself with the platform, see how it all works. I mean, obviously we do have a very small minimum deposit of £100, 100 euros. So if your order is still dubious on how it works and you want to figure out sort of more on a live basis, you can test it out with 100 euros. It's not much. It's a very small amount to start off with to get, advantage of this platform. So you can always do that. It's depending on your situation. I believe it's 3 weeks maximum. We have just risen it from 2 weeks. So sadly we can't do anything there. But hopefully 3 weeks is enough for you guys to understand how it fully works. Are funds held in euro? Yes, they are held in euro. You can hold them in GBP. There's a few currencies we hold them in, but there's a variety. Purely depends on where you're coming from. So if you're making the application from UK, then the funds will be in pounds. If you're in Europe, for example, Spain, France, Germany, then they will be in euros. But if you want to let us know, if you want to change it, do let us know. Someone asked what happens if I'm with an unregulated trading company. Well, that's a good question. I'm not too sure what would happen there. I think the main thing at the end of the day, the main feel is just that your funds might not be as secure as they would be with someone like us. With us, we have several insurance policies. For example, you're covered by the FSCS of up to £85,000 if the bank defaults. If ayondo defaults, you're covered up to £500,000 or euros. And we obviously have that zero balance protection, so you can never go into negative equity. So hopefully a lot of you guys know what happened in January with the whole Swiss currency when it dropped over 30% or 2,000 points in the space of a very short time. Many clients lost a lot of money. IG lost £30 million, £18.5 million as client money. So let's say you had £1,000 position, down 30%. You're essentially down 30 grand. So they come knocking your door saying you owe us 30,000. With us, we'd scratch that off, and you have no liability almost. So you can never lose more than your initial deposit. So it's quite nice to have that. Can I watch this seminar again later, as I missed? Yes, indeed. We'll be able to send that to you. if you want to watch more. I think we'll probably attach it on our website so you guys can watch a little bit more. If not, we'll have it on our YouTube site so you can watch all of the seminar. And obviously, if you have any questions, do call us in, and I'm sure we'll be able to rectify any situation. What is the lowest starting budget which I have to invest? Well, the minimum is £100 that we have, but you got to understand, £100 is a very small amount to start off with. This is so similar to managed fund almost, that if you're starting with £100, it's going to be very hard to gain any traction. Typically we're looking at, it depends, but an average of several thousand, maybe 20,000 to start off with. Obviously, it depends on what you're looking for, but the amount, obviously, it varies, but we do have that in place. Perfect. I think I've run through all the questions there. Are there any other questions that you guys may have? Looks like I've answered all the questions that I have here, hopefully. I'll just run through them again to see them. If I have missed anything, no, I think I've answered everything. Perfect. Yeah, I think I've answered everything there. Any more questions by any of you, or are you okay? Have I educated you a little bit more than 40 minutes ago? Perfect. Well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoy your evening, and obviously, if you have any type of questions, call in. If you guys have applications already, call in the sales desk, and we'll be able to, answer any questions you have. You can call in ayondo at support, customer services, and we'll be able to, rectify anything for you. Perfect. Thank you very much, you too, guys. Enjoy your evening.